On today's podcast, episode 274 of the JAS Takhar podcast, I answer questions from a guy who's wondering how to sell more shrimp or lobster or crab meat. Also, how to re-engage old leads that have gone dormant. Make sure to ask your questions on the JAS Takhar podcast by going to meetjastakhar.com/podcast.
How can I improve the sales way/process in the seafood industry?
The seafood industry, well, I do definitely love myself some seafood, lobster and some crab and some black cod. Well, first things first, in terms of the sales, I can tell you that I would probably focus primarily on what are you doing from a brand perspective, meaning, are you only trying to focus on the lower part of the funnel or the bottom part of the funnel, which is sales, which I get is important, but I would also want you to put a lot of effort, 60-70% of your effort at the top part of the funnel, which is brand marketing. What are your efforts when it comes to marketing? Are you doing Google AdWords? Are you doing Facebook ads? I think every single business and even nonprofit organizations, and maybe you're running for mayor or maybe you're running for student council, it all what should be incorporated in all of those is content. Why? Because people who like seafood, I just said, like, I love myself some seafood. I want to see the behind the scenes. Like, what's happening? What did he say, Bo? Is it a processing company or what? Like, what? Or it's a seafood business, right?
It is a seafood industry.
Seafood.
Asking the sales way/process.
Okay, perfect. So when it comes, like I said, to the sales, like, I want to see behind the scenes of how, like, where do you get the seafood from? Who's catching the seafood? Is it organic stuff? Is it non-organic? Whatever it is, show behind the scenes. If you can, especially if the founder, and you're starting to see a lot of this right now in big brands, the Toyotas and the Lexuses and the Apples of the world, you're starting to see them showcase some of the founders a little bit more. In fact, if you look at Apple specifically, I mean, I believe Tim Cook has more followers than maybe even Apple does on some of the social platforms. Why? Because people connect with people. So as the owner of this seafood business, I think, like, if you're comfortable and if you haven't tried it, then at least try it out. And if you just it's a little weird, you're weird on camera or whatever it is, maybe there's someone in your organization that can get in front of the camera and now you can start to show those behind the scenes. So in terms of sales, I would go, without knowing more and having more context in terms of exactly how you are selling. Is it B2B? Is it B2C? Are you going right, directly to the consumer? Without knowing all that, then I would say definitely something that's going to help your sales is more brand and marketing. In terms of processes, if you're not good at it, as a business owner, I highly recommend that you partner up with someone that is good. Now, you have to leave some money on the table. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go 50-50 in a partnership, but you should consider having someone as a COO, a chief operating officer, someone that can handle building out the systems and processes, especially if it's just not something that comes natural to you. What's next, Bo?
Okay, the next question we got is from Sahib. And it says, I try calling people after 5 p.m. since most people work 9 to 5, but I often get delayed by unfinished tasks from earlier in the day. How can I manage this better?
Look, I think it's all about time blocking. Your unfinished tasks. Let's look at it. If I were to ask you from a one on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high priority, those tasks, where are you? If it's less than an 8, if any of those tasks are less than an 8, putting aside any personal things that you need to do for family and stuff like that, if it's less than an 8, then let that be what you do later on in the day. When you mention, I think it was Sahib, when you mentioned that a lot of people work 9 to 5, yeah, they do, but majority of people still pick up their phones. Not everybody, but a lot of people. You will be pleasantly surprised if you do this, making calls from, I would recommend, because it's generally the hardest thing for sales professionals to do, which is consistently prospect. Do it early in the morning. Do it as early as you possibly can. You're not going to call people at 7 o'clock in the morning. That doesn't make sense. But after 9 a.m., if you do this for 30 days, not trying it out for 2 days or even a week, because that week might be like currently at the time of this recording, we're going into a time where it's more, festive. And so people are a little bit busier at times. So if you just tested this for a week, it's not a big enough sample size. You got to do this for 30 days, 4 weeks, Monday to Friday. Call people from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. You want to go 10 to 12, I'm okay with that. You will be pleasantly surprised how many people pick up the phone while they're at work. Now, they might say, hey, Bo, I'm at work. No problem. When's better for you, 5 p.m. or 7 p.m.? You still got a hold of someone. We call that a connection. You still made a connection and you got somebody set up for later on in the day. But I've been calling people from 9 a.m. to about 5:30 p.m. I have my team do it. So I have a huge sample size. Without any type of exaggeration, like conservatively, we probably make anywhere from 8 to 10,000 calls a year. Outbound, not cold calling, by the way, it's warm calling, people that are in our CRM. Doesn't mean that they always remember us, which is a different skill set in terms of scripts. But out of that 8 to 10,000 people calling from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., our connection rate is about 30%. So we call 10,000 people, we connect with about 3,000 of them. Now, some of you might think, well, that's not that good. Or some of you might say, wow, that's amazing. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The alternative just sucks to me. The alternative meaning not doing something. And it's why most people don't. I'm not saying specifically you, brother, who asked the question, but I just know with the 20 years of experience in real estate, the last 4 years of coaching thousands of agents, that you will find some type of excuse not to actually make the calls. Not because you don't believe that the timing is not good. It's just that you have this fear of judgment of what someone else on that other end of that call is going to say. So test this out for 30 days and report back to me. Bo, next.
Okay, the next question is from Wendy. The question says, what's the conversation like to follow up with old leads?
Well, old leads, if they inquired about something, i.e. a property, maybe it was an event that you were putting on, maybe it was some type of lead magnet that you had running on ads, and now you haven't followed up with them consistently enough, and if you need to kind of re-nurture them and get them maybe interested, I would simply just give them a call. And if the guy's name's Bo, I'm going to say, Bo, it's Jazz. You inquired about XYZ, whatever that might be, the event, the property. They came into your open house. You came into the open house at 123 Main Street. I'm giving you a call not because I'm asking if you're thinking about buying or selling. Now, side note, really quickly, guys, the reason I say I'm not calling you about the property, because 95% of the time when you're calling an old lead, they're gonna say, no, I'm not even interested anymore. And I'm not actually even calling about the property. My objective is to possibly take this prospect, this old lead, to the next stage of the process in sales, which is getting an appointment. I don't care to get the appointment about them buying right now or selling. I know that that's the end goal, but there's steps in between. And so what I'm going to say back to Bo, back into role play, I'm going to say the reason for my call, Bo, is a lot of people that came into our open houses that did inquire about that lead magnet, that guide, that came into that event, whatever it is, you just plug it in. What they're doing is now reaching out to us to do what's called a financial checkup from the neck up, to do an assessment on a portfolio. Now, I've made so many of these kind of calls, guys. I also know what possibly he'll say next. I'm not even thinking about real estate because I bought a property. That's great, congratulations. But what's next? This right here is a question that we've been asking for the last decade. When someone says to us they bought a property, automatically my team, myself, that's great. what's next? And then Bo might say, what the heck are you talking about? What's next? I bought that property already. No, I get that. But what a lot of people use real estate for is not just their principal residence. That's fantastic. And congratulations once again. But they're using real estate to create wealth to get out of the rat race. See, what you're doing is you're planting seeds that possibly will keep the conversation going. I know you want people to just call you and say, hey man, Jazz, can you please come sell my house? Hey, can you just come help me buy a home? That shit is order taking. If you want to be in the top 1%, you got to be proactive. Hence why you got to ask the question, what's next? And let there be an awkward silence. Who gives a shit? Because they're going to say, what do you mean? Again, I spoke to you about the script to use, which is, well, a lot of people are reaching out because they use real estate to build wealth. And so when is usually good for you, maybe that we can have a 15, 20-minute conversation? The worst thing Bo's gonna say is don't call me. Great. Thank you for taking my call today. And then you move to the next person. Don't get stuck on someone saying, I just bought a property, because you're just thinking about one transaction. The product that we have, real estate, allows people to create wealth through a multiple of avenues. Investing into income properties, doing land development deals, investing your registered funds. And if you don't have the skill set around what those are, you got to go get it. You got to go be resourceful. Because if you just say, oh, sorry, okay, bye, well, you lost an opportunity. Is it going to work all the time? No, I'm getting so much heck on social media, and keep it coming. I love it, guys. Like even the negative comments, it's all good. I'm built a little differently, so I can handle it. Don't worry. But a lot of people are like, well, I would have hung up on that guy the way that he said my name. You know, there's a video that we have that I start off the call by saying Karen, because I'm saying, hey, can we try to build rapport quickly as possible with the people that we're calling? And one easy way to do that is not to say, hi, is this Karen? Because then that already kind of showcases that you are more of a cold caller. But if you say Karen, and then people on the video are like, I would have hung up on this guy in 2 seconds. Okay, great. But maybe you wouldn't have. I also have a lot of experience with people who didn't hang up, and that led to an appointment, that led to a deal. So don't always think about the negative that's gonna happen. Sure, it is actually going to happen, but a lot of positive results come out of just doing more reps of something. Oh.
We got a question from Brittany from Florida. Question says, how do I balance my time to shoot content and where do I post it?
Well, you balance your time in terms of shooting content by scheduling it. So I'm a big proponent of spending as much time as you possibly can in business development, lead generation, prospecting, whatever word you want to use. Now, to do that effectively and consistently, schedule it. Innately, you don't even put it in your schedule anymore. You just know you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, at night, you brush your teeth. That's how lead prospecting and lead generation and business development should be thought of. Do it as many times, do it as long as you possibly can. You have other things to do, obviously, show properties, do the underwriting if you're a loan officer, do offers, there's tons of things, I get it. But you might be the best underwriter in the world as a mortgage broker. You might be the best listing, you might have the best listing presentation, but if you don't have people to present to, what good is your listing presentation? What good is your ability and capability to underwrite a mortgage and package all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff if you're not meeting more people? Because until the robots start selling the robots, we need to meet more people. So it has to be scheduled. In your prospecting time, a minimum of 3 hours a day, a minimum. That's when you make your phone calls. That's when you get back to your hot prospects. That's not when you just check email and go through social media as a consumer. Within that 3 hours, that's when you shoot your content and you post it everywhere you possibly can. I don't care if you don't like TikTok. I don't care if you don't think that Instagram's a good place to be. As I say, I don't care. I'm trying to be very empathetic as well, because If I was not in business, I would not have social media. I'm a private guy. I don't need to tell everybody everything. I don't have that need. I could care less. The reason I'm on social media is because I'm in business and I know people are there and there's relationships that get built through that. The best analogy I can give everyone right now, if you're not posting everywhere and putting out content, is that as a real estate professional, if I told you right down the street, right now, there's a party happening with a couple of hundred people in a home, and they're all talking about buying and selling. And not all of them have real estate agents in their life or their family, or some of them do, but not all of them. Every single one of you I know would go to that party. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's a party happening on 6 or 7 platforms on the device that we hold in our hands that you're probably listening to this or watching this, but you're not going to the party. So the thing is though, I don't know all the time where that party is actually happening specifically at what time on which platform. Hence why you want to get to a place where you're on all the platforms. You know, my team and I talk about analytics and views and all this kind of stuff, which is important because there is a reason why you want to look at key performance indicators, KPIs. It's important. Are you doing a good job? You're not. But at the end of the day, I really don't care because I know I'm at a place, like sometimes my views on YouTube are higher than the ones on Instagram or vice versa. Sometimes my downloads on my podcasts are higher, the audio version, than somewhere else, or vice versa, they're lower. But I know personally that I am probably one in the top 50 in the country of Canada. Okay? Conservatively speaking, and I'm trying to say this in the most humble way possible, that I'm probably in the top 50 in having consistency across all platforms of the amount of followers I have and views I get and shares that I get. So this is not a game for me of let me get the highest views on Instagram because that's some fucking vanity metric for everyone else out in the world. I'm in business. It needs to filter down at some point for me to get in front of someone's face. That's what the objective is here. I don't got it twisted. I hope you're not. I hope this is getting more clear for you guys, hence why you're feeling hopefully the passion that's coming out. But if you look across all my platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, audio podcast, Instagram, and TikTok, I want you to find somebody other than the top 50 that I'm kind of mentioning that has the community in every single one of those platforms. So that's why it's so important to make sure you're on all the platforms, because I have people that I've met and they've sat with me face to face and said, I've never seen you on Instagram. I've never seen you on YouTube. I've never seen you on Facebook. I've never seen you on TikTok. I don't really go there much. And when I'm there, I've never seen you. I'm like, how the hell did you get in my world? Oh, I listened to the audio podcast on Spotify. I'm like, that's the only thing. He's like, they're like, I've never even seen you. And that person has turned into a $22,000 GCI. What if I didn't have my team put this audio on podcasts? I would never have made that connection. Vice versa. People are like, I didn't even know you have a podcast, bro. I've had it for 5 years. I only see you on LinkedIn. That's the only place I see you, Jazz. I don't even have a profile on Instagram or whatever it is. I only see you on LinkedIn. Hence why I get my team to put me on LinkedIn. I'm like, put me everywhere. Because the best compliment that I get from a lot of people is, bro, I see you everywhere. I can't get away from you. That's the fucking objective with content. Bo, next. Oh, you like that, eh, Bo? You guys can't see. He's smiling this time. He's smiling.
Oh, yeah.
That one hit you.
People say I can't get away from it.
Exactly. That's why we put it everywhere.
Exactly.
That's why I'm always harping on my team. Like, Bo and Clyde will tell you, shout out to Wei and Alex as well, as part of the content team. But Bo and Clyde, you guys know, like, I'm always like, I don't really give a shit about the views, guys. Let's just have fucking quantity, have as many as many posts as possible. And really quickly, let me just add to this. And I was gonna, you're gonna get an inside look at what I was gonna talk to the crew about on Monday when we kind of look at all of our numbers. In the last 30 days, okay, just on Instagram alone, I'm not even gonna talk about all the other platforms. We've had 463,000 views on all of our videos, okay? Now, sometimes you guys are like, why so much more content? But when I show you that, yes, there was one video that got like 100K, but where the fuck did the other 300,000 come from? The ones that only got 8,000 and 10,000 or 4,000, they all add up. They all add up. And there's a good chance, not 100%, there's a good chance that out of that video that got 3,000 views, because the algorithm didn't take it, it didn't hit for a myriad of reasons, the one person that asked a question today might have come from that video. I don't know that to be true though, but do you?
I know that to be true.
but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
That might not, like, I'm saying that might not even be true, and you don't know it. We don't know that, but I'm not willing to take the chance. That's why I'm driving the point home to the community today. Like, be on as many things as you possibly can. We're in business, and to stay in business, you need revenues. So you better find as many possible ways to bring in revenues. Next question, brother.
Next question we got from Matthew from New York. How do I get in the right mindset to scale a team? And how do I know it's the right team?
Well, I don't think you're ever going to know if it's the right team until you get started. The mindset is, are you at a place right now where you feel like you just can't do everything? And that's when so I'm not sure if this is the right answer for everybody, but for myself, I just realized I couldn't do everything. In fact, not only could I not do everything, because there's only so many hours in a day, and I'm not here to sell hustle porn that you got to go 19 hours a day kind of thing, where I realized A, that I couldn't do everything, B, I was actually really, really bad at majority of things. Like, I can't put an email together. I can't edit this video. I can't, I didn't like to show properties. I did it at the time that I kind of stopped showing properties specifically was about 5 years ago. So for 15 years, I did it. I did the grind. And so I started to realize all the stuff that I didn't like and that I was really, really bad at. And this is kind of my thesis on everything, which is you got to keep going. You can't give up. Otherwise, you don't deserve the business. You don't deserve the freedom that maybe you're looking for. You don't deserve building the generational wealth for your family. You don't deserve any of it, because everyone's also trying to get theirs too. Why do you deserve it more than me? Or vice versa, right? The one that gets it, the one who actually gets the freedom, the generational wealth, the building of the legacy, whatever it is, it always goes to the person who's bringing the most value. And so for me, I realized that, okay, I got to start leaving some money on the table now. I got to pay people. I got to bring in partners some of them are at 50-50. Some of them are lower than that. Like they're all a little different, because I could get more done that way. Now, to do that at the start, and great question about what the mindset is. You have to have the mindset that you're willing to leave money on the table through paying people, through building strategic partnerships, but you can't take all the money anymore. And that might mean, and this is the hard part for people, that might mean that you have to buy less stuff. That might mean maybe one less vacation, maybe no vacation for a couple of years. That might mean that you have to put in more hours, because it's not going to just come to you on a silver platter. No one's coming to save you until you start helping yourself. And you help yourself by, when it comes to scaling a team, leaving money on the table and start downgrading. I get it. We're scared to do that at times because we're worried about what our friends are going to say, especially if we made a lot of money at some point for a couple of years, 5 years, a decade, a year, because they're like, holy shit, bro, you were buying them Wagyu steaks on a regular basis and now you can't. What happened? You got to take that. You got to stomach that. I'm not here just preaching to you guys. I'm living it. You can ask my team. I got rid of my expensive cars. I have a $15,000 Toyota Camry that I'll probably have to change soon, only because I'm driving the heck out of it. I don't care what you have to say about me. I have zero fucks. Literally. What doesn't even faze me for a second when people see me out of a Camry and people are like, bro, that's the car that you drive? I thought you were like the top 1% of the 1%. Fuck, I am. I got the receipts to prove it. But I know that I would rather just get another bow, because then I can get more done. Right? And maybe fancy cars, fancy homes, fancy cars, clothes, all that stuff. Like, I'm not here to judge either on the flip side. But if it's not allowing you to scale, that is a decision you're making. You could easily stop buying that stuff. And then you take that money and you put it into a team. I'm here to just tell you, from a guy who's been living his dream. And I started building out my staff members about a decade ago. My real estate team of about 42 agents, that was about 15, 16 years ago. I can tell you, it is so freeing to know that you have a team, specifically my staff, that when you have 40 hours of their time a week, because let's just do some simple math. When you have 10 team members, you just got 400 hours a week. You're going to be very deadly and dangerous to fuck with. Because the average person, hard workers, whatever the hell you want to say, they may be doing 80 hours a week. Let's just say they're grinding. But I sit with 400. And that's just like, I'm not even counting my time yet. So you can see why I can get so much more done now. Oh, next.
Last question we have is from Dave. How do you generate more generic leads?
How do I generate more generic leads? I'm trying to get the context here. Just out of experience, I've gotten so many questions, and so I think the first thing that I would always do, we just don't see them as leads, because it's like they're just like my friends, they're my family. Yeah, but they each know 200 people. So the first thing I would always do, put me in any city in the world, put me anywhere. If you put me in India right now, okay, well, let me use a different place, because India, I got some family. If you put me somewhere in Africa, so because I don't have any direct family in Africa right now, and I need to build a business there, specifically real estate, I'm going to call all the people in my phone. Now, why would I do that? Because it's not like my friends and Bo's in my phone. He's not buying in Africa. The reason I'm calling Bo is because he probably knows somebody that's in Africa that can start the process. And I'm going to call Bo and say, Bo, I moved to Africa, bro. I'm starting to sell real estate here. You know anybody that might know anybody here that I can just kind of connect with? So I'm starting the process. So generic leads, first things first, your phone. Then second, I would go down the path of going into social media. Go into all the people that you know in already social media that follow you. Maybe there's people that you're not following yet that you kind of knew them back in high school. That's the second place. The third place, you could do ads, right? I don't recommend ads at the start, because when leads come in, if you don't have some of the fundamental stuff in place, i.e. some type of CRM to bring those leads that came in from the ad, you're flushing away money. You're just flushing away money. You're bringing water into a boat that has holes. It just makes no sense. So what you want to do is plug all the holes, and then you can start to bring in paid leads. Because the first two things I told you won't cost you anything in terms of dollars. It costs you time. Now, if you have money, so you got to spend one thing, guys, at the start. It's your choice, okay? And then you want to get to a place, in my opinion, that you can do both. You either have to spend money or you have to spend time. You have to do one of the two at the start. Now, most people that I come across anyways, not everybody, but most people, they generally don't have the money, they have the time. But they're acting and behaving like they have no time and they have a lot of money. They say one thing, but they're acting completely different. How do I know that? Well, because they're not busy. Like they literally don't have any clients. They have no leads. So what the fuck else do you have? Time. So in that time is when you should be making calls, doing content, engaging with people on social media, going to events that are being put on. Google any city there is real estate events happening and or networking events. It might be a social mixer for entrepreneurs. And you might be thinking they're not talking real estate. But it's fucking people, guys. It's people. And people need a place to live at some point. And people know other people. So if there's no real estate event happening this week, but there's some type of networking event, go there and you meet them. This is where you'll get a lot more of your generic leads. As always, I appreciate your guys' times watching and listening to this podcast. Make sure to get your question answered because like the results are in now. We're not making any changes to this format for a very long time. The new Q&A format on the JAS Takhar podcast is a massive success because the questions keep pouring in. To get your question answered, all you got to do is go to meetjastakhar.com/podcast. That's meetjastakhar.com/podcast. You put in your question, my team throws it at me, and I do my best to answer your questions. Until next week, have the best week ever.